$837,000. That's the unbelievable combined value of three Kennedy half dollars, hiding one secret most people never notice. One is worth $156,000, another reached $254,000, and the most valuable sold for an incredible $427,000. Yet to the average person, they look like ordinary coins that could be sitting unnoticed in a jar, drawer, or old collection right now. Before you assume yours isn't one of them, there's a tiny detail collectors are willing to pay fortunes for. And it all starts with a 1973 Kennedy half dollar that changed everything. The first coin in this story doesn't announce itself with bright colors, rare metals, or an unusual shape. In fact, most people would glance at it for less than a second and move on. Yet hidden among ordinary Kennedy half dollars is one version that can transform a seemingly common 50-cent piece into something collectors study with extraordinary attention. And the surprising part is that the difference is easy to miss if you don't know exactly where to look. This is the 1973 Kennedy half dollar with no mint mark, a coin that quietly circulated through America during a fascinating period of change. At first glance, it looks like countless other half dollars. The familiar portrait of President John F. Kennedy appears on the front, while the presidential seal dominates the reverse. Nothing about it immediately suggests rarity. But that is exactly what makes this coin so interesting. Experienced collectors often say that valuable coins rarely advertise their importance. Instead, they hide behind ordinary appearances, waiting for someone to notice the details that everyone else overlooks. The 1973 no mint mark Kennedy half dollar was produced during an era when the United States was moving through economic uncertainty, changing technology, and shifting public attitudes. These coins passed through cash registers, banks, restaurants, and family pockets across the country. Millions of Americans handled them without giving them a second thought. Today, however, collectors view certain examples very differently. One of the first things advanced collectors examine is strike quality. Two coins from the same year can look nearly identical from a distance. Yet under closer inspection, one may show exceptionally sharp details, while another appears slightly soft or weak. The hair above Kennedy's ear, the lines in the eagle, and the finer design. Elements can reveal a tremendous amount about a coin's quality. Then comes preservation. This is where the story becomes even more intriguing. Many surviving 1973 Kennedy half dollars spent years in circulation. They collected scratches, contact marks, discoloration, and wear from everyday use. Because of that, finding a coin that somehow escaped heavy damage can be surprisingly difficult. A collector may look through hundreds of examples before discovering one with remarkable surfaces, strong luster, and minimal imperfections. And that's where ordinary begins to separate from extraordinary. Another layer of interest comes from varieties and mint-related imperfections. Collectors constantly search for unusual die characteristics, striking abnormalities, and subtle production differences that can make one coin stand apart from the rest. Some of these details are so small that most people never notice them. Yet specialists can spend years studying them. This is why grading becomes such a critical part of the coin's journey. A Kennedy half dollar that appears average to the untrained eye can receive dramatically different evaluations depending on its condition. Tiny marks, surface quality, brilliance, and overall eye appeal can influence how collectors view the coin. In the highest grades, competition becomes intense because so few examples survive in exceptional condition. As the years passed, demand for top-quality Kennedy half dollars continued to grow. Auction houses began showcasing premium examples, and collectors realized that the finest survivors from this era were becoming increasingly difficult to obtain. Then comes the moment that surprises many people. An outstanding 1973 Kennedy half dollar with no mint mark, preserved at an elite collector level and possessing the qualities specialists seek, has reached values as high as $156,000. For a coin that many people would mistake for an ordinary 50-cent piece, that number changes everything. But this story is only beginning, because while the 1973 Kennedy half dollar hides its value behind condition and preservation, the next coin introduces a mystery that even experienced collectors sometimes struggle to explain. There is a tiny detail connected to that coin that has sparked years of discussion among enthusiasts. And once you see it, you may never look at Kennedy half dollars the same way again. Collectors usually focus on the date first. It's the quickest way to identify a coin and often the first detail anyone notices. But when specialists pick up a 1971 Kennedy Half Dollar, many of them barely glance at the date at all. Instead, their attention shifts somewhere else. Why? Because hidden within a coin that millions of Americans once spent without. Hesitation is a story that has less to do with age and more to do with survival. This is the second chapter in our investigation, and it begins with a question that puzzled collectors for years. How can a coin produced in large numbers become one of the most sought-after examples of its era? The 1971 Kennedy Half Dollar was struck at the Denver Mint during a period when America was experiencing major cultural and economic changes. The nation was entering a new decade. The space race was still fresh in public memory, and Kennedy's image remained one of the most recognizable symbols on American coinage. At first glance, the coin seems ordinary. The familiar portrait of President John F. Kennedy dominates the obverse. Turn it over, and the powerful presidential seal appears on the reverse, complete with the eagle, shield, and olive branches that collectors have studied for decades. Nothing immediately suggests that some examples would one day command extraordinary attention, and that is where the mystery begins. Most people stop their examination here. Collectors don't. They know that two 1971 Kennedy Half Dollars can appear nearly identical while living completely different lives in the marketplace. The reason lies in details that are easy to overlook. Strike quality is one of them. During production, not every coin received the same sharp impression from the dies. Some examples emerged with stronger details and better overall definition. Others showed softer areas that reduced visual appeal. Collectors usually focus on the date first, but specialists often look elsewhere, toward the hair details above, Kennedy's ear, the sharpness of the lettering, and the intricate design elements on the eagle. Those details tell a story. A common example may show wear, dull surfaces, and countless contact marks from years of circulation. An exceptional example, however, can preserve an almost remarkable freshness, as though time somehow forgot to touch it. And this is where the gap begins to widen. As years passed, countless 1971 half dollars entered circulation. Many were spent, stored carelessly, or damaged through normal handling. Finding one today is not difficult. Finding one in elite condition is a completely different challenge. The real difference appears when attention shifts to preservation. Luster becomes important. Surface quality becomes important. Eye appeal becomes important. A tiny mark in the wrong location can separate an average collectible coin from one that attracts serious bidding. Authentication also plays a major role. Experience collectors carefully. Verify originality, checking for altered surfaces, cleaning, artificial toning, and other issues that can dramatically affect desirability. A coin may look attractive at first glance, but specialists know how quickly hidden problems can change its standing. That careful examination creates another question. What happens when a 1971 Kennedy Half Dollar survives with extraordinary strike quality, outstanding preservation, and a grade that places it among the finest known examples? The answer explains why demand continues to grow. High-end collectors compete for the best, survivors, because they know opportunities to acquire them are limited. As population reports reveal how few top-tier examples exist, interest often increases rather than fades. And then comes the moment that surprises many viewers. An exceptional 1971 Kennedy Half Dollar, certified at an elite level and recognized for its outstanding quality, has reached values of approximately $254,000. For a coin that once passed through ordinary American pockets, that number feels almost impossible. Yet despite everything this coin reveals, another example in this collection challenged assumptions in a completely different way. Collectors who consider this the most fascinating coin of the group often change their minds after seeing what comes next, because the final coin isn't remembered primarily for condition, preservation, or even strike quality. Instead, it carries a hidden characteristic that causes experienced collectors to pause, look again, and question what they thought they were seeing. And once that detail is discovered, the entire story takes an unexpected turn. There is a strange moment that happens at coin shows across America. A collector spots a bicentennial coin, smiles, and moves on without stopping. Then another collector sees what appears to be the exact same coin and immediately asks for a closer look. To most people, both coins are identical. To experienced collectors, they may be worlds apart. That mystery brings us to the final chapter of this documentary. The 1776-1976 Bicentennial Kennedy Half Dollar with no mint mark. A coin connected to one of the most celebrated moments in American history. On the surface, this appears straightforward. The dual date, 1776-1976, instantly identifies the coin as part of America's bicentennial celebration, commemorating 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Millions of Americans recognized these special designs when they entered circulation. They were symbols of national pride, reminders of the country's history, and souvenirs of a historic anniversary. Yet the closer collectors look, the more complicated the story becomes. Unlike ordinary yearly coin releases, bicentennial coins carried special significance from the moment they were created. Many people saved them believing they might become valuable someday. That decision had an unexpected consequence. Because so many were preserved, collectors eventually faced a new challenge. If millions were saved, what actually separates an ordinary bicentennial coin from an extraordinary one? The answer isn't found in the date. It isn't found in the design, and it isn't obvious at first glance. Instead, it hides within quality. The familiar portrait of President John F. Kennedy remains on the front, while the reverse features Independence Hall, one of the most important landmarks in American history. Together, the designs create a coin that feels less like currency and more like a miniature historical monument. But history alone does not create rarity. Most examples tell one story. Exceptional examples tell another. Collectors examining elite specimens often focus on details many people never notice. They study the sharpness of the strike, the texture of the fields, the brilliance of the luster, and the smallest imperfections scattered across the surface. A common bicentennial half dollar may appear attractive. A truly elite example appears almost untouched by time. And that difference is far more significant than it sounds. Decades have passed since these coins were produced. During those years, many were mishandled, improperly stored, cleaned, scratched, or exposed to environmental damage. Even coins that never circulated often developed issues that reduced their collector appeal. That creates a fascinating contradiction. The coin itself is familiar. Perfect examples are not. Experienced collectors know that authentication is essential. Before a premium example earns serious attention, specialists verify originality, ensuring that the surfaces remain natural and that no alterations have affected the coin's integrity. Then comes grading, and this is where the mystery deepens once again. A tiny difference in preservation can separate one coin from another by an enormous margin. Marks invisible to casual observers suddenly become important. Luster becomes important. Eye appeal becomes important. Strike quality becomes important. The higher the grade climbs, the fewer surviving examples remain. As population reports reveal just how scarce top-tier certified examples can be, competition among advanced collectors grows stronger. The result is a market driven not by age alone, but by excellence. And only after understanding that can the value begin to make sense. When a 1776-1976 bicentennial Kennedy half dollar with no mint mark survives in extraordinary condition, receives elite certification, and stands among the finest known examples, collectors can pursue it aggressively at auction. That pursuit has pushed certain examples to values reaching approximately $427,000. For a coin many Americans have seen countless times, the number feels almost unbelievable. And perhaps that is the perfect ending to this investigation. The 1973 coin taught us that condition can hide extraordinary value inside an ordinary appearance. The 1971 coin showed how preservation and strike quality can transform a common issue into a collector prize. And this bicentennial coin revealed that even a piece connected to a familiar national celebration can contain layers of rarity most people never suspect. In the end, the greatest lesson isn't about dates, mint marks, or auction records. It's about attention. The coins worth the most are often the ones that reveal the least at first glance. Because in coin collecting, as in history itself, the most valuable discoveries are rarely hidden in plain sight. They are hidden in the details that almost everyone else walks past.